Well, I make this recording today from my local cemetery. It's called Rose Hill. It's a very special place for me. Uh, well, for one, my son is buried here, but beyond that, uh, I have a great, deep respect and appreciation for uh, remembering our elders and for those uh, who are dead. I have peculiar uh, sentiments, feelings, beliefs regarding our dead. I believe that they continue. I believe that they are alive, not like us, but spiritually they are there. I believe that uh, they have opportunities to learn and grow, and that I know that kind of goes contrary to many people and what they believe. But I believe that we, as uh, spiritual beings, both alive and dead, I believe that is our purpose. Part of our eternal journey is to continue learning, to continue growing and expanding our knowledge, and to continue to make choices. And I just have a great respect and belief in that faith. That tells me that this life isn't all there is. There's much more, and I often strive to remember our dead um, for many reasons. We as a people, and I'm not just talking particular nations, but we as a species, we glory in our own generation, and we glory in being complacent. And I would say this generation more than many of them before. We have many technological advancements, and I do believe that they are inspired by God. I have no doubt of that. At the same time, I believe that we have come to rely on our conveniences so much that we now view them as rights instead of privileges. And that in turn creates a false impression of how you fit in to the modern era. We are definitely headed for some hard times. Groceries are getting expensive, gas is expensive, everything's going up except our paychecks. At the same time, I believe that there is great lessons to be learned from our elders, from those that have passed on. I was talking with my mother just the other day, and she was mentioning how, um, as a child, we were talking about raspberries or something, but she's talking about how when she was young, uh, my grandmother, her mother, would can like 300, jars of raspberries for all. I think there were like 8 kids or something like that. But it's stories like that that get me thinking and get me pondering about our place in today's society. How many of us know how to be self-reliant to that point? How many of us know how to can food? How many of us? How many of us can go, let's say, 2 or 3 days without going to the grocery store? Think about it. Uh, and therein lies the danger. You know, sure, it helps the economy, when people go to the grocery store often, sure, everyone likes that. But there is a responsibility factor that we need to consider. And it's something that our elders, most of whom who have died, that can still teach us through their teachings. And that is the ability to be self-reliant, to learn how to can, to learn how to save every little bit of money you can, to learn how to gain an expertise. Um, it wasn't just all farmers back then. People actually had a trade. They had uh, a skill that they had, and it can be farming, but it can be as a mechanic, uh, fireman, anything. But they had skilled trades, and they used those to magnify it and to help others and to advance their family, yes, economically, but also to produce thrift. And so, as I stand out here at this cemetery, I just have a great respect as I look at the names on the stones and to think about their lives. And then you get back into like 1800s and 1700s, and with each generation, you think about that time period and what they had to go through, what they had to do to survive. And then you put that in a perspective of us today when we're used to central air conditioning, automatic heating, microwave ovens, things like that. And they didn't have that when it was 30 below during the wintertime way back then. And so they had to uh, find ways to be industrious, thrifty. And it's interesting because even with all that, they also had to learn how to be a happy family, a happy people. And that's interesting because, again, you look at us today, how many of us are happy? Think about it. Consider all the dysfunctional families that we have, and you might be among them. But you think of all that, and we seem to be happy when we are in front of our computers, um, happy in front of our microwave, waiting for that dinner that'll be ready in 30 seconds. But are we happy? Can we go without that for a day and be happy without feeling like we're getting the DTs, the detox, from being without those luxuries? And those are important because, again, as far as the dead are concerned, I believe that when you die, the things that you have developed, the things that you learn, the things that the habits that you have, things that make you crave, those go with you. And so if you don't have a sense of self-reliance and some skill that puts your mind in a proper frame of reference where you can survive the eternities, then I believe that it's going to be hard for you on the other side as well. A few years back, I went to a funeral, and it was interesting because I saw this plaque at the funeral home, and I wish I can remember word for word what it was, but I got the general idea of it, and I can't even remember who the author was, but in a nutshell, it said, part of our judgment is how we treat our dead. And there's really a lot that can be read into that. How part of how we treat our dead is going to be based on also, how we're being judged. I think I mixed that backwards. Anyhow, but again, I just have a deep respect, and I've mentioned it before in another video. But my son is buried out here. I believe that he lives. I believe that he continues. I believe that he has a very high status because he was taken so young. I don't believe he was lost. I believe he serves a specific purpose, just as vast numbers of others have specific purposes. At the same time, I believe that those of us who have lived out our lives, our mortal lives, and are accountable for our actions, we continue to learn on the other side. And we have the opportunity to accept or reject certain eternal truths. And that is really the only way that we can all be judged equally, is it not? So those are just some thoughts I have on this beautiful Sunday afternoon in October. And I'm very grateful it's not snowing. But we have sunny skies. The air is dry. Perfect day to go stroll in the cemetery and think about life and death, but mostly life, because if we respect and think about our elders in the proper light, with good memories and in a learning mode as far as what we can learn from them, that will help us be all the more happier in this life. That makes sense to me. I don't know about you. I often have a hard time articulating my thoughts, but that's part of what this is for. So that is my challenge to everyone, is to take the time to shut your computer off. Take the time to just go out. Take your family if you want. Walk the cemetery. Just walk around, be with your family. And think about those things that you can learn from the generations that have gone before. Because it's their cumulative actions, thoughts, desires, and their industry that have brought you to where you are now. So that is my challenge. There is great respect to be had. And we all know people that have shown disrespect for their elders. Look at their lives and how pathetic their lives are, because most of the time they exhibit great pride and ego, and although they won't admit it, you know that they're not terrible. I mean, what's the word for it? They're miserable. they're not happy. And so, I believe that there is great happiness to be found in life as well as death. But we can learn from the death of others and the lessons that they have left behind for us to learn. So those are my thoughts for today, and hopefully it gives a little bit of insight. If nothing else, it gives you something to laugh at. Don't care either way. But we'll catch you later.